Hey guys, it's Melissa here, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Intentional Investor. Today, we have with us our very first guest and our family member, Reggie Michel. You guys are going to love him. He got deep on our show and got vulnerable and shared exactly the pivotal point that he changed into the mega superstar that we know he is and our integrator himself. So I can't wait for you guys to listen to this interview. He's going to share his mindset, his dedication to his people, and his love for God and how he built a strong foundation and multiple successful businesses that has now led him to the intentional investor. So we can't wait for y'all to join us. Check out the interview. Here we go. Hello, guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Intentional Investor. Today, we have such an exciting show. We are introducing our family to you. Keston's in his closet. Oscar, where are you at?
Let's go.
So today we have Reggie Michel with us today. This is going to be such an exciting episode. As you guys know, we have Kes on Purpose, Oscar the Closer, and I'm Melissa. So what is going on, family?
What's good?
What's going on?
Hey,
Reggie, excited to have you here, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. I know we've been
finally,
doing
you know,
this podcast
he's the man behind the scene.
I'm glad to finally be invited to the show. Good stuff.
You've been a part of this thing though for a long time. So let's just kind of like come clean right now. So as if you've watched episode 1, Oscar approached Keston and myself to do this partnership called The Intentional Investor. Why? Because we all have pretty firm foundations. We're hustling hardcore in the background, making our dreams come true. And he's like, we're all so different and unique that this is going to be amazing. And then Mr. Reggie comes knocking on Keston's door. And Keston, what did he say to you?
You know what? Reggie came to me with, we were going to work on a deal together, right? And so that deal, it was such a great deal. And so we were working that because people come to us to help them close on deals. And so in the midst of working that deal, and I started having conversations with Reggie, I started to realize that, like, hold on, this dude, he kind of what he's doing. He got that integrator vibe, systems and all of that, all things that I have no interest in keeping up. And so I started having more and more conversations, not about the deal, but about him. Mm-hmm. And then I said, you know what? Let me jump on the phone with Oscar. I said, Oscar, I think I got a guy that I just want you to, like, let's call him on three-way and have a conversation. And I remember it clearly because I was gonna go cycling that day too. And we got on the phone, and that phone call was like about 2.5 hours with Oscar.
It really was.
And so it just kind of happened where it connected. We're filling in the spaces that we needed. And so we'll dive into that a little bit more on this show.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Reggie, can you tell us how you felt in that moment that you got one-on-one with Kes, you got an hour and a half with Oscar? Like what was your whole vibe in that moment of like, I think I can do this?
Yeah, well, I've actually been in the game for a minute now. I've been in the real estate industry since 2001, actually, as a realtor. And then I opened up my own practice, my own brokerage in 2007. And I really spent a whole lot of time making other people a lot of money, right? And we'll get into the specifics of that a little bit later. But getting connected with the mentorship with Sub 2 and listening to Oscar and Kes, I'm all about, systems, really. I'm always trying to find leverage because I run multiple companies. And so I was like, man, this dude right here, he's really good. And Kes will tell you, I call him the seller whisperer, right? So I had this amazing deal, and I said, you know what? I want to take my best shot. Let me see if Kes is willing to go in on this with me, squat up. And we did talk a little bit about that deal, but it quickly pivoted, right? And just like he said, we had a quick conversation then. The follow-up conversation was with Oscar the closer. And it was amazing, really. There was synergy. our goals were aligned, and I said, man, to be honest with you, I'm not big on partnering up on an ownership level like that, but everything just lined up so perfectly. I was like, wow, you know, it's just it was inexplicable, to be honest with you.
Reg, you touched on something that I think was so important that I glanced over just now. It started to not become about the deal. It started to become about who you were as a person,
Hmm.
and you started to share things about you. And we talked about your Christian walk and things like that, about like our spouses, and we talked for hours about
We did.
things that made the connection real, so that um, we were able to really kind of get into each other's business, so to speak,
Hmm.
in terms of character. And so
For sure.
the character was the first thing that made me say, checkpoint, I could trust
Hmm.
this person on this level. And it hadn't been very long since I knew you, but just having conversations as I'm 35, you start to realize in your walk, people with certain things, you can almost automatically trust them faster than other people, simply based on how they are with their kids, how they are with their wife, how they are in their business. And just having that conversation led it into different conversations. And
Hmm.
I think once we had that conversation about family and marriages and that type of thing, spiritual life, then we started talking more business. And I think we had about four over an hour conversations before I even tagged in Oscar, that kind of sent it to the next level, where I'm like, this is a good dude. Because I wouldn't try to bring somebody in that I don't know and haven't vetted, quote unquote, to a degree before coming to you guys and saying, guys, I think we should look at this person. And so thank you for saying that and bringing that up, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, for sure, for sure. Like I said, I'm very, very aware of who I am as a person. I think Melissa asked me that earlier. Just chopping up some different questions like who are you as a person? If I would um, boil it down to brass tacks, I'm a man of God. I'm a family man, and as the great Jay Z says, I'm a businessman. Right. And in that order, right? And when I began to speak with you guys and getting to know you all better, I was like, okay, this really lines up. And just taking time really to talk to my family, think about this really on a deeper level, pray about it. Um, like I said, it just lined up. And I'm not that type of person that just dwells on things. As soon as I get confirmation, I'm taking action, you know? And
Hey,
so
Fred.
once you guys presented the opportunity, I said, okay, this is a good fit. Um, Again, first thing we had the same foundation, Christian foundation, the same principles, and we got the same vision. When those visions align, I was like, ain't nothing else to do but to do it. You know what I mean?
Hey, Reg, I have a personal question for you. Are you
What's
still
that?
are you still down with this family after our 2-hour conference calls? And like every 3
Gotta love it. Gotta love
love
it.
it. Always
No,
getting off.
no. That's a great question. I was gonna ask you the same because I'm a talker. It's trouble when I get on the phone with me and Oscar because we align a lot as well. With him, I'm like, man, I don't know if it's safe for me to have a conversation with Oscar alone because I've never heard a business idea that I didn't like, right? So, and we're constantly throwing out ideas. But interestingly enough, I think that's where we're gonna lead into. But that's one of the things that I really needed to focus on myself and how I got to where I got to, because I know thyself. I know who I am as a business person, and that's one of the challenges that I had early on in my career. that I was just so all over the place. I
Mhm.
was just so all over the place. I wanted to focus on this thing. I wanted to focus on this thing, chasing the bag, so to speak,
Sure.
as opposed to chasing vision and purpose.
When you focus on one thing, you can get a ton done. I want to just ask Oscar quickly. Oscar, what was your vibe in meeting Reggie? Because we all know he's a great guy. He's going to do some amazing things for this company. He already has. But can you share from your perspective who you think Reggie Michel is?
Yeah, so I'm always it's funny because I've done a lot of business before. I've met with a lot of people. I dated with a lot of people. Quote unquote dated with professional wise. And when Keston told me about Reggie, um, I it piqued my interest, but I reserve my judgment, kind of thing, right? Because I've done through like all this partnership and everything, good and bad. So like, well, let's talk to him. But the one thing that I recognize from him, just from like 15 minutes of conversation, is we have the same foundation, right? And to a lot of people, again, I said it again and I say it out loud, the foundation is not just rich dad poor dad, but the foundation is the biblical perspective and the book that we read day in and day out. And to me, that's one way or one good partnership in the future. In addition, after talking about 2 hours and more talking with him, kind of like, speed dating to each other, you know what I mean, with testing in between. I see him as a man of potential. I see him as a humble man that knows a lot of things and can implement a lot of things. But like me, is also all over. But that's why when we talked about it, we daydream, right? It's like we're on the beach and we look at the sea, and these are the sea of opportunities, right? We can tell like, oh, look at that fish, we can grab that fish. Look at that whale, we can grab that whale. I mean, we just need to bring enough boats, right? So so when I talking to Reggie, I see this opportunity that we can go together far, right? So that's how it start, right? And really that's all. That's a start of how you qualify your quote unquote partner too, right? It's all about, to me right now, it's all about the foundation first. I don't care if, for example, Reggie has a CRM that, for example, CRM that 100% better than others, but he doesn't have the right foundation and the right mindset, it's not gonna work for me. I need someone who is teachable also, because then I know that I can bring in my value and my expertise to the person, and we can bounce each other like a sounding board, right? It's not just one way communication, right? And we're talking about a partner here, a business partner. We're not talking about a contractor just work on 1099, right? We're talking about every single day, and where if there's a conflict and there's a things that we need to resolve, it goes back to the foundation and the character of the person, and that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I see in Reggie, right?
Yeah.
I see his talent, but I see his heart first. Because
You
otherwise
trying
that's
to
not going to
make
work
me
for
cry,
me.
man? You trying to make me
No,
cry?
it's real, right? None of us is perfect. We had our moments where it's like, oh my God, Reggie, this is how you do it, man. And Reggie's like, oh, okay, I got it. Let's do it now. But if I don't have that picture of Reggie saying, Reggie, this is like, I know I'm saying this because I love you and I appreciate you. And you know how intense I get sometimes, right? When we talk about business, right? Because we are businessmen, right? So but after that, at the end of the day, I know we are family, and after that, we know the characters and we know the mission and the purpose, right?
Yeah.
So this is key. If there's one thing that you take away from this podcast, this small talk, is that look at the foundation of the person that you're dating, right? Look at their mindset before you look at the skill and the product that they have,
Mm-hmm.
because that's not going to matter as soon as there's a conflict that's going to arise. And conflict is going to come. It's like a marriage. Like, I've been married for 15 years. Like, how it is. We're going to fight. We still fight. We still have new issues. We have 2 teenage daughters, and that's what the company is. You're going to have teenage daughters that come in as your employees. And if you don't know how to manage them and you don't know how to get relationship within yourself,
Yeah.
company's going to be sinking like so fast.
Most
No,
definitely.
that's so true, man. And so, Reg, let's jump into some of you, right? Because you have both visionary and you have integrator, right? You started multiple businesses, but you claim more of the systems guy. And so let's talk about your like systems and your mindset as a systems guy, as an integrator. Tell us what that is, and tell us what that looks like for what you currently do in maybe our business or in another business that you currently have when it comes to the system side of things.
Sure, sure. Um, and if it makes sense, I'm going to explain it to you this way. Um, Anytime I talk to people on a specific topic, regardless of what it is, it all starts with your heart, but it begins with your mind on how you approach those things, right? I always tell people, get your mind right. For me, like I said earlier, when I was giving a little bit of background, I I've always been in an entrepreneur. It's just woven in my DNA. Lots of people, like all the guys in my family, own their own businesses. Um, but when I stepped out to do it in faith on my own, the challenges that I had, like I said earlier, was really focusing in, focusing in on um, what I should do and how to go about doing it, right? So when how that relates to the integrator side of me, as the business owner, and I think a lot of people have this issue across the board, right? You're trying to figure out, where are we going? Um, how am I going to get there? Who am I going to take along with me? And that's how I got kind of entrenched in all of those roles at the same time. I think everybody starts there, right? But it wasn't until I just narrowed down to the things that I know that I do best and the things that I enjoy doing. That's when I started to realize success. So, though I do have, I'm like a hybrid, so to speak, of that visionary and integrator. Um, I like to stick to what I do best, which and the things that I enjoy doing, like organizing, provide automations, systems, and then delegate everything else. Everything else, you know what I mean? And that's what I usually try to stick to. That's my baseline uh performance technique, so to speak.
That's awesome. I love it how you say you focus on your best and you give it
Mhm.
all there. So, can you talk about the number of businesses that you've owned, right? I know that you have quite the history of being successful as an entrepreneur, but would you feel comfortable talking about maybe those hardships or downtimes, times that maybe you're in the deepest of valleys that taught you kind of to level up essentially for the
Mhm.
future?
Yeah, yeah. I one of my other teams, I actually just I try to be as transparent as possible. In our team meeting on this past Tuesday, I went into this exact same story. Um, just again talking about focus. I like preach that message all the time, every day. It was maybe about 6 years ago. I saw an opportunity, and granted, remember I told you I started my real estate career back in 2001.
Hmm.
um, and so my businesses were going. So about 6 years ago, somebody presented me with an opportunity to partner up this digital marketing business. And let me back up a little bit. One of the businesses that I own is a digital marketing agency called InLeads Marketing Group. Somebody came in. He was really cool. We hit it off. Had a lot of things in common, but you know I being wrapped up in let me go get this bag first as opposed to staying focused. I joined up with this guy, not even knowing too much about him.
Yeah.
And long story short, just to skip through it, we got a lot of success pretty quickly. We got contracts set up with financial institutions all up and down the East Coast. I mean, multiple seven figures.
Awesome.
We had no agreement in writing. We had nothing in writing. He had access to the accounts. close to around the end of November, um, I tried to log into the systems because everything was going to start up in January, where everything was going to go live, and I found myself locked out. Um,
Oh,
and mind you, we took about 6 to 8 months to key this up, to set this up, and I would like to say long, it basically, he stole everything. He took all the money out of the accounts, locked me out of everything. I stopped pretty much producing on my other businesses because I was in the mode of trying to
awful.
get things automated so I can focus in on this. It was devastating for me. And this was right before
Awful.
Christmas. Yeah, it was right before Christmas.
I'm so,
And go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just thinking what that does to your trust as a person
Yeah,
and being, how that affects
yeah,
everything else.
yeah. That definitely played a big role in why I was always very hesitant about partnering up. Everybody has a great idea. Hey, Reg, I know you're good at doing this and you got this successful business. Let's partner up with this. And I was like, yeah, let me pray about that. I'll get back to you. You know what I mean? But I would like to say that I handled it with dignity and I kept it moving. But the old man rose up and I was like, look, man, I'm catching the next flight to Jersey, and let's talk about this.
I did
But
not
but
think.
yeah, calming down with my wife, and she at that time calmed me down, and just really spent some time to pray about it. And I in my spirit, all business aside, I just heard loud and clear, God just told me, just walk away from it. Just walk away from it. And that's what I did. And when I was able to release that, believe it or not, that's when things really took off for me. It was, I mean, I lost a lot of money in that transaction, but everything restored within the next 6 months and then some.
Amazing.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that. The one thing that comes to mind for me is like forgiveness and letting go. I think we all have baggage here, and a lot of it's invisible, right? And so some of those burdens that we hold on to, some of that shame from maybe the past, it's like you got to let it go. You got to
Mhm.
let it go in order to get to your best life. And I love it because this loops in perfectly with building a strong team with an awesome foundation, because we all have our distinct differences. But at the end of the day, we read the same book and we have the same foundation.
Yeah,
Man, that's
absolutely.
awesome.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And it's so aligns with everything that books and Bibles teach you, right? You got these self-help books, you got all of these business books that would teach you one thing. And so you came from the biblical perspective of forgiving and letting go. And a business book, they will talk about failing forward, right?
Hmm.
Like just being able to fail forward quickly, because there's so many things that will happen in businesses. And if you are not able to be resilient, is one of my words that is like, matter of fact, I think it's on my t-shirt, like resilience. See right there?
Boom.
Like you have to be so resilient to be able to get up and keep going. Without that, like you will fail. Like it's the same thing for relationships, right? Like you were hurt once and it's like, oh my God, all men suck. Yeah, and it's there's there's some level of wanting to say like get over it, and I don't want to be insensitive at the same time, but you got to fail forward. There's no sense in sitting down and whopping about it, and that's exactly what you did. And of course the emotions comes out where at first you're always mad, but the faster you can let go and continue to just rebuild on your own, it's amazing, and your story shows that. So thank you for sharing that, man. Like it's being resilient and being able to come again, and here you are trying again with us to build
Hmm.
something. What does that feel like? what
The
what
thing,
type of nightmares, what happens with this?
no nightmares, bro. No nightmares. One of the things that I tell people, my team and anybody that I'm mentoring, is I don't take L's, bro. I don't take losses. I either win or I learn, and that's how I approach everything. So one of the things that was clearly apparent to me is I didn't take time. I didn't take the time. I was focused on one thing and one thing only. I was just chasing that money, chasing the bag. And even the discussions that we had, you said we've had several discussions before we even got into the dating phase of figuring this whole business with the intentional investor out. I just took that before God, and I'm like, man, I learned my lesson last time. I didn't get a W. I took a learn, and once I got clarity and I got confirmation, it wasn't a question for me. I was like, look, I'm trying to. One of the things that is super important to me, uh, most people call their passion, and I'm passionate about is I want to impact lives. I'm good right now, man. I'm in a good place. But I know God has called me to impact as many people as possible. More specifically, and that's one of the things that we had in common, Mr. Kess on purpose, is not only identifying purpose, but showing people how to walk in that purpose. Right? You can know what your purpose is, but if you're not walking in it, then what good is it for you? So those are the things that are super important to me and lines up so much with the vision and the mission statement for the intentional investor. It was a no brainer.
I love that. The one thing that comes to mind now when I think of you is going to be loyalty. Because if you look at your past and if you look at your business, that partner was not loyal to you. And it makes things so clear in my mind now. In regards to Jason and Sade, you are so loyal to them. And that tells me that you're going to have any one of our backs at any point in time. So, bro, I just got to thank you for that.
Yeah, my pleasure. That's me. It's when we're looking at business, and I think Kes and Oscar mentioned that earlier. It's family, you know, and a lot of people don't understand it, and that's why it's so important to have that same foundation. Um, I don't know if you guys probably watched The Prophet. It's one of my favorite shows, and Marcus talks about that all the time. The three P's, people, processes, and what's the last P? Product. But it always starts with people, right? And if you can't commit to the people, no man is an island. You're not going to be able to do this by yourself. Even through scripture, everything that God wanted to accomplish in earth, He did through one of His people. And that's the same thing that we have to do.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I think our goal in this show between all of us is we really wanted to pull the layers back of the intentional investor, who we are, what we're here to do. And so, Reggie, you're a very, very important part of that process. So, thank you so much for coming on today. I do want to ask you a question as far as growth is concerned.
Mhm.
Um, where do you see this? Like, what's your vision also for the intentional investor, maybe in the next 5 years, or for you personally or family, wherever you feel led to take this?
The next 5 years, and I can answer this pretty quickly because I think about that a lot. The next 5 years, I like to. I'm focusing on what's called passive retirement, if that makes sense. I don't ever see myself retiring until God tells me to sit down, but I'm positioning myself right now for myself, my family, my legacy to work because I still love it and I want to do it, and not because I'm still trying to, um, you know, set up all of these riches for the family, for all these people who's attached to me. I want to be settled within the next 5 years where I'm doing this just because I'm doing it because I want to do it. How the specifics as how that gets done, I'm walking that out right now, but that's my life in 5 years.
That's great,
That's
Cass.
that's pretty awesome. And thanks for sharing that because that helps kind of people track with where we're going because I mean, you just being on board and being here has allowed us to think even more, because now we could have these things plug in to you that could take the system and build it out. And so, I mean, bro, thank you for even being here with us and being able to feel forward and be a part of our journey. And so, you know, a lot of 9 to 5ers listen to us, people that still has their jobs and things like that, you know that. And so at what point do you get away from your 9 to 5 job and become an entrepreneur? Or you said there's a lot of people in your family that it was kind of the path of your family, and were you just born into it? What was it for you?
Um, this is funny. So I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. At a very young age, and I know it doesn't look like it now. It doesn't look like I've missed a lot of meals, but I used to be an athlete, right? My whole goal was to play in the NFL. I had like straight shot. Played high school football, played going to Florida State, and then go to the NFL. That's my one track mind. But the one thing that I remember before I got injured playing football is I stayed up late at night. I used to have all of these things that I did, but it never became like live to me, right? When I was a kid, I always had little businesses selling candy. I had this thing where we were going to build our own go-karts and sell these to other kids in the neighborhood. And I stayed up late one night, um, and the all my friends had fallen asleep, and I watched an infomercial from Mr. Carlton Sheets. I promise you, I was like 12 years old. Um, and embarrassingly enough, I had no clue how I was going to buy it. I didn't tell my parents, but I ordered that. I pretended to be my uncle. I ordered it. They delivered it, and I dug into that. First. Um, that was my first introduction to real estate. Though I didn't actually have the means or the know-how to pursue it. But it lit something up on the inside of me, right? Then I still continue to follow sports and everything, but there was little monumental areas in my life where God always brought me right back to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
How that relates to 9 to 5 people, your initial question, is it's different for everybody. It's so important. Everybody, what I tell my team is there's a difference between sight and vision, right? So you see things all the time, but you need to have a vision for your life. And that starts with identifying what your purpose is. But people get so confused every day because they see things that other people are doing, and they're thinking, they could see Kess is on this podcast talking, and he does awesome with sellers, so I'm going to be just like Keston, or Oscar's, closing deals, or Melissa's doing all of these amazing things with making these homes beautiful, and they pick one of these things and do that. But is that the vision for your life, or is that just something you saw somebody else doing that you want to do? It's so important for you to identify what the thing is that you want to do, and then run hard after that.
So
All
good.
of the other stuff, all of the little minor details will work itself out, but just according to what you're just saying, fail forward or get your wins and learns. Identify that one thing and then start taking action is what I tell people every day. Whether you're in your 9 to 5, whether you just got a side hustle, whether you're doing both, take action.
That's perfect. Hey, Tess, on that, will you show everybody your sweatshirt? Like, can you just show us your chest? You don't have to take it off. Don't make Jazz angry, but just read it, because this is your statement of purpose, right?
Yeah, we got to read it for people on podcasts.
That's
Yes,
dope.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. So
Or
it
do you want me?
reads.
Go ahead.
Go ahead
Yeah,
and
you
read
can
that,
read it.
bro.
You can read it. You want to read it, or you want me to read it? I'm
You
reading
read
it
it again.
backwards.
Okay.
So
Motivate and educate others so that young men's lives would be changed. Minorities would be minorities would have a better financial education and that Christianity would not be so boring.
Boom.
Amen.
That's it.
Keston,
Let's
what is
go.
that? Can you extrapolate on that a little bit more?
So that is the purpose of my life. And, this was an exercise that I did when I was in high performance coaching. I had a high performance coach, and we really wanted to narrow down our purpose and come up with a purpose statement. And so this is something that is on the wall. It's something that I read to myself very often, because this is who I want to be. This is what I need to live out. And when you're at a funeral, lots of people, like, they talk about the dash. There's a beginning date when this person was born, and there's an ending year. And in between is what we talk about, and that's the dash. That's what you live while you're here on earth. And so I want to live this. This is my dash. This is who I want to be while I'm here. And so I try to practice this. Everything that I do in being resilient, flexible, honest, knowledgeable, wanting to help others, that's what I try to live out. That's a major part of what the intentional investor is all about. And so this is what I embody. This is who we are. Right? This is my purpose statement, but you guys could identify with a lot of the things that's there, because we're connected in very similar ways. We have a lot of the same paths. That's the only reason why we're connected and doing this together, because we have very similar visions. And so that's what this is. And I wear it on my chest, so to speak, because that's how passionate I am about my purpose and what I believe God has for my life. So that's what that
Good
is.
stuff.
That's
Good
amazing.
stuff.
Thank you so much for sharing. That is literally the intentional investor, like what's on Keston's shirt. So Oscar, we need to get that on your shirt, or on the back of your shirt, or on a hat.
Hey, yeah. As soon we got the logo, we're gonna put that all over our merch.
We are. We have.
And you know what, Melissa? I'm gonna do this too. You just really inspired me. I shared this with some of my folks. That one thing that you asked me about that really was a turning point for me in my life. I'll tell you who it was. It was Darren Hardy, who owns Success Magazine, and did a teaching. And it may seem like it wasn't a big thing, but it was a teaching on focus. And what I did is I got that recording. It was about a little over an hour to an hour and a half. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to put that on a specific page for the intentional investor. And whoever wants access to that, we will go ahead and post that on our Facebook page and in YouTube. And whoever wants to get access to that, they'll just go ahead and sign up, and then like the page, like Facebook, like YouTube, and then you'll have direct access to that specific training.
That's amazing. You are such a go-giver. And I know that we have more in store. Like, Oscar's got a million, a zillion, billion ideas of how we can just supersize this thing into mega success. Reg is going to make it happen. Keston's the guy who's always on fire. Guys, is there anything else that we want to share today, or do you think this is essentially a wrap?
I just want to say one thing, right? I mean, as we're wrapping this, what do people take away from this? Just as a summary, right? To me, it's all about finding the right partner and sounding board, right? You see our team now, the 4 people, right? It doesn't need to be 4 people. When I started, it was just another person, right? That one person, though, has to have the same foundation, the same mindset, and the same or similar goal in the next few years with you, and you start from there, right? But start, like what Reggie said, have a mission, have a goal, 1, 2, 3 years goal, and get that other person to go with you, because the road's going to be tough. The real estate road, even though you see the green pasture and everything, is going to be tough, especially if you have a 9 to 5. But it can happen. We all start from there. Melissa is still 9 to 5. Keston just got out of the 9 to 5. I got out of my 9 to 5. I don't remember, but I got out of it. But what I'm saying is this: when we remember when we started, and some of us are still in it, find the right partner with the right foundation that you believe in and go from there. You're going to make mistakes. The partner's going to catch you, or you're going to do the other way around. That's it, right? Everything else is information, education, experience, failing forward. But find that partner. If that's one thing, I want you to think about finding that partner that you can just hang around, bounce ideas around. That's start from there. Drive around together. Start from there.
Boom, drop the mic.
Love it.
That was huge.
Keston, do you have anything else to share?
No, I just want to say, Regman, thank you. Thank you for being here. And the value that you've given to us, to the community, to the VO. And I know we have a lot in store, so I can't wait to continue to grow with all of you. It's an exciting journey so far, and thanks, bro. Thanks for being a part of the family.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, fam.
Thank you, guys. Reggie, Michelle, thank you so much for being here today. It makes me want to jam out again to We Are Family. Should we do it?
Let's do it.
Go.
Let's do it. Here we go. Who sings this? Does anybody know?
I know this growing up. I know this.
Sledge Sister.
Sister Sledge, yeah, I think that's it.
Keep your clothes on, everybody. Here we go. Oscar, I'm going to give you permission. Just go for it. Hey, guys, another show of The Intentional Investor and our very first guest, Reggie Michel. Thank you so much. We will see y'all.
Appreciate you guys.
Peace.
Hey guys, it's Melissa here from the Intentional Investor Show. If you like what you hear and if you want to dig deeper into your own real estate journey, hit the subscribe button below. We would love for you to join us. Thank you so much. Until next time.